So today I have another guest, and this happens to be my best friend. It's an awesome story, and I'm super grateful for her to share it on this platform today. Her and I have had a great friendship. Not always great, but it's a funny story. Like my soul sister, we have the best motivational talks. She motivates me, encourages me, a great friend. She will be sharing her story with you all today.
My name is Sarah. So I've had kind of a strange story, both in like very, I feel like, pivotal parts in our lives right now. And like my story is, I've been playing lacrosse pretty much my whole life. I started when I was in 6th grade, and that was like something that I just attached to. And I just ran with it, and I was really lucky to have that opportunity to like fall in love with something like that. It kind of happened to a fault to where I identified with it so much. It made me have a huge ego in lacrosse. I got very lucky. My sophomore year of high school, I committed, which is a big D1 school, and I was really excited about it, but I didn't make that decision for myself. Felt like, okay, yeah, like it's really cool that I'm going to play lacrosse. It's really cool that I get to play in college. It's really cool that I'm going to such a cool, like, good school for this sport, but like I never reflected on like whether or not that I actually wanted to do that. This was all me just trying to achieve some sort of like status or something. It was weird. Let's just fast forward to when I graduate high school. I go off my freshman year. Things are okay. Pretty much where I am now. After 2 years, I was miserable because college is like really where they just throw you in there and just say, okay, go. You know, you don't really get any sort of like background refresher, like here's like some good steps to go through. Like you're on your own. And I think everyone goes through this, and where they're like, you kind of are like, okay, crap, you kind of realize yourself. 2 years later, you know, I just finished my sophomore year. Thank God for Brit, but you know, this past summer I was like really happy to reflect and like think if this was something that I wanted to do, because I was miserable. We can get into that too, of just I never once thought of like, okay, this is something I want to do, that I get to do and get up and do every day. This was like, it was becoming such a chore. And I know that people who, like other people who I know that play Division I sports, they also agree that their sport does become a chore, but it felt like something that I was so separate from, that I didn't understand why I was doing it. I didn't understand like why the heck I was so committed to playing lacrosse, and I didn't know who I was, because I was just living in this thing, like I guess just this like status of I'm a Division I lacrosse player, and I never like reflected on what that was for me, or like how that felt for me, or like if I actually wanted to do that. And so I had to like come to this decision, and it was really hard, and like every day during the summer I never wanted to go back. I never wanted to go back because of how outside of my skin I felt there. Like I did not feel like myself, and I felt like an imposter, and that I was going to be exposed somehow, and that everyone just like knew that I didn't belong. And at the same time I was waiting for my big break, and I was waiting for like that day to come where I clicked with everyone, and where I became comfortable in my own skin, and I was just waiting, and finally it took so long. It took 2 years for me to realize, and thank you for Brit and my family, but it took this long for me to realize that I'm living someone else, like it's not a specific person, someone else's, but it was just like I'm living this life for other people, in the sense of like I'm living it to please other people, and I wasn't living it to like for my own like personal belief, for my own fulfillment. I was living it just because I felt like it's what other people wanted me to do, and that kind of correlates back to like thinking that as a sophomore was such a big achievement in the eyes of others, but I never looked at it for myself. And like, you know, it's so funny too, because like I would have people tell me all the time, like, you should be so confident in yourself, like, oh my god, like you're a college athlete, like you're this and this, and I was just like, or like you're this Division I college athlete, and I was just on the outside I was like, yeah, you know, like it's cool, but in the inside I was just like, if you only knew, like lost I felt.
If you could go back to like that high school lacrosse playing like athlete self, what would you tell that person? And anyone, or just in general, anyone younger than you who's an athlete right now, struggling with maybe the same thing.
My biggest fault, like what I would tell the younger athletes, biggest struggle when I was playing was worrying about what other people thought. Because like I said, I was almost like living this to satisfy others. I was so worried about what other people thought, and I think that I would tell younger athletes, like, if you really love the game, you should be able to go out there and not worry about anything else besides getting the ball in the back of that net, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, you should worry about nothing else besides that. And I mean, I feel like that's just how, you know, like, you could be a solid athlete. And I'm gonna be careful saying that, because I don't want people to be upset thinking that I'm excluding specific people. Anyone can be an athlete, but you know, it really does take the ability to just not give a crap about what anyone else thinks, and to just be able to go out there and focus on the task at hand and just play your heart out. And I was told all growing up, like since I started, to usually go out there and usually not give a fuck. Like, you play lights out, play fearless. And if you watch some of the greatest athletes, like, they just play completely fearless. They don't care. They know, they're in the moment. It's like, I'm so passionate about that, because I don't want anyone to make the same mistake I did of just because you love it and because you really do, like, you get that feeling of like being so in the moment when you play. That's, you gotta stick with it, and you gotta run with it and just don't look back. But
I don't think that was a mistake. I mean, for you in particular, it was something that made you the person you are today. You wouldn't be the same person without learning that hard struggle.
Right. I feel like there's so many lessons I learned after, like, it was so weird, because like as soon as I decided that I'm not going to this college anymore and that I'm not playing lacrosse anymore, it felt like I could actually think for myself for once. And it was the weirdest feeling, but it was almost like, you know, my dad and I, we kind of correlated to like finally getting out of that job you hate or something. Like, you know, people talk about like feeling so trapped in wherever they are, but as soon as they leave it, they feel so like alive, like themselves, like they're able to, like, they see like hope in the future. And
I can attest to that. I freaking was there, and just like it's really rewarding as a friend, you know, and you're talking and you're having these hard conversations, and then you finally see this like light bulb and just like this brain freedom.
That's what it feels like. It feels like the fog just got wiped away. Don't let your ego get too attached to the sport. Don't let your identity get attached to the sport, because it's like, as soon as you do that, then the smallest mistakes are going to be, you know, fatal to you. Like, you're going to feel like if you make this one bad play, like, you're just a horrible person. And that's how I was, because I was just so, my ego was so big in lacrosse that I wasn't able to see it through. I wasn't able to just be like, okay, like, Sarah, calm down. This is just a game and you're playing it because you love it. I got so deep and so attached to the sport, like my identity got so attached to it that it ruined me. I mean, like, look at what happened. And I agree with you that I'm grateful that it happened, and I'm so much happier now. And I think that I've learned a lot, and like going down the road, like, this isn't going to be the only obstacle I face where I could get attached to something. You know, I do think that I now have this perspective of like, okay, like, you have to detach yourself from things that you're really passionate about, because it's almost like this dichotomy where you really have to balance like what you dive into. Take a step back. Always just be able, if there's one person that I can quote, it's Jocko Willink, and he always talks about detaching yourself from situations, and I think that that is the best life lesson, because if you want to go and be successful and have that small ego, because being humble, I think, is also just the most important lesson.